You've turned a key thousands of times, but have you ever wondered what's happening inside? What tiny mechanism decides whether that door opens or stays shut? Let's look inside.
Consider this. The pin tumbler design we use today was essentially invented by ancient Egyptians. What problem were they trying to solve that we still haven't improved upon? Why has this shape persisted for 6 millennia?
Before we look at any mechanism, ask yourself this question. How would you design something that recognizes one unique object and rejects every other object in the world? That single problem is what the lock solves.
4 components. What could 4 simple parts possibly do together that one part cannot? Watch how these plain pieces combine, the housing, the plug, the pin stacks, and the springs into something surprisingly clever.
Here's the setup. A cylinder inside a cylinder. What if the inner one could freely rotate? Then anyone could open the door. So how do we stop it and then conditionally allow it?
Each pin isn't one piece, it's a stack. Why 2 pins instead of 1? And why would a spring push them downward? Consider what happens if the break between these 2 pins lands in exactly the right place.
Now, look at this invisible boundary. This is the shear line, the gap between the plug and the housing. What would need to be true at this exact line for the plug to rotate freely? Hold that question.
Without a key, what happens? The springs force the driver pins downward, straddling the shear line like locked bolts. Try to turn the plug, and it physically cannot move. Why? Because metal is blocking metal. Watch carefully. Each ridge on the key pushes a pin stack up by a specific amount. What if every single pin break lined up with the shear line at the exact same moment? That's not luck. That's the key's shape encoding the answer.
Now the plug rotates freely, but rotating a cylinder doesn't open a door. So what does the rotation actually do? Follow the motion to the cam, which converts spin into linear pull, sliding the bolt out of the frame. What makes a wrong key wrong? Look at these 2 side by side. The correct key lifts every pin to exactly the right height. The wrong key lifts pins too high or too low. Even 1 pin off by a millimeter and the shear line is blocked. Could you feel that mechanical rejection in your hand? You probably have.
6 pins, each with roughly 10 possible heights. What does that multiply out to? Why is that number the difference between your front door and a toy? Consider how quickly simple choices compound into genuine security.
What's remarkable about this mechanism? No electronics, no software, no power source, just springs, pins, and geometry. Why did this exact idea survive 6,000 years of engineering? Because elegance, once discovered, is hard to improve. Simple parts, geometric precision, universal principle.
So, the next time you turn a key, pause for just a second. What question is your key asking? And isn't it strange that a piece of cut brass, through pure geometry, can carry a secret that only one other object in the world can answer?